The Summit Racing Equipment Nationals, where Angie Smith is certainly on a roll as of late. She will race the Suzuki of Steve Johnson today in round number 2.
She would definitely be favored in this matchup based on performance. And like I mentioned, Steve Johnson with the smaller engine after he blew up the big one in Epping had a little bit of a disadvantage. Angie's been riding well, getting good lights. Needs to keep that consistency going, though.
Never before in Angie's history has she been to the semis 3 races in a row.
Good lights by both riders. Oh, good race.
Steve Johnson,
6.986
on a very narrow hole shot. So the man who won Gainesville and then went slumping is turning the corner today in Ohio.
Like I said, both riders had good lights, but obviously Angie's was just a little bit worse. That slight advantage that Steve Johnson enjoyed off the starting line parlayed that into the victory, and look how close it was at the stripe.
David mentioned earlier today that Erica Ender-Stevens had been battling, working to get better, be consistent on the tree. An 024 light that time. I want to ask you about a phone call you got this last week, however. 10-time champion Bob Glidden on the other end. How much did he encourage and help you?
He's awesome. He called me a couple weeks ago, and then he called me again Monday after we left the race last week, and he's been nothing but great and encouraging to me. And you know, we talked on the phone for probably 45 minutes to an hour and just went over every different aspect. And you know, I appreciate his help more than anything in the world. And you know, I got the opportunity to work with him when I drove for Schumacher in 06, and then again when I drove for Jim Cunningham in 2010. So he's a great guy, and obviously something's working. So we'll see if we can go take the next 2 one at a time and hope for the win at the end.
Thanks, Eve.
Certainly has her mojo. Chaz Kennedy just turned on the red light. 024 too early. That allows Hector Arana Sr., a man who says his confidence is back, to streak easily into the semifinals today in Norwalk.
And remember, just a few minutes ago, told you what Ron Tolber was looking for in Ron Capps' last run by checking out the data. Trying to calm it down did not work. They still saw an increase in the drive shaft speed in the first 60 feet. He says, you know, we're still going down the racetrack. Maybe it's not that big of a problem. He says they may not even make an adjustment for that in this semifinal matchup against teammate Jack Beckman.
Tall order right now for Adam Arana, a man who's only been past the second round 1 time in his career last year at Epping. Tough, especially because he's taking on Eddie Krawick.
I think he's on a mission after not qualifying in Chicago to prove that that was a fluke. So far up to this point, he's done well to prove that point. But like you said, getting around Eddie Krawick, who's had a very good motorcycle all year, after Gainesville anyway, it's going to be tough.
Could be all in the clutch tune-up. This team's struggling to get that bike to 60 feet.
Oh,
but he's got a big advantage. Huge.
Oh, and Eddie was hanging off the side of the bike. I think this is over.
It is. Give it to Adam Arana. 7 flat. Beats Eddie's 7:04. A day late and then holding on.
See the launch here, and then right after that, Eddie really had to move off the side of that bike to reel it back in, and that caught between that and the bad reaction time. It cost him big.
And in the pit of Jack Beckman, you see that Western Tech logo on the side of his car. That's where the interns come from for Don Schumacher Racing, and those extra hands, they're needed right now as they get ready for the semifinal matchup. A fresh engine going into this car as they get set to take on Ron Capps. But Jack, the last 3 races, you didn't have a single round win. What has been the difference here this weekend?
Boy, thank you for reminding me. You know, sometimes fortune, but I think you got to make your own fortune. If you're running consistently quick, you can get more aggressive on the racetrack. And I think Rob and Chris Cunningham have been able to do that lately, and I hope this is the first step of many to come. But for Western Tech, for Valvoline, it's been a long drought for them. They deserve to be back in the winner's circle. I got my good luck charm, Jacob from Michigan. I think we can do it today.
Young Jacob Delling, 10 years old, and he's having a good time.
Yeah, great to see Jacob. One thing for Don Schumacher Racing with matchups of teammates in both Funny Car and Top Fuel, the Don guaranteed to at least have an opportunity to add to his win total. But right now it's about Jimmy Underdahl and his Suzuki. Can he do what Adam just did to Hector Arana? Got a little bit of a whole shot advantage. The boy Andrew has certainly picked up the performance on race day. Whoa, 6.89.2. Is Andrew Hines on his way to his 4th Norwalk win? It's the most of any pro racer, the 3 he already has. So Adam will have to race dear old dad lane choice, going to the world's most interesting pro stock motorcycle racer. On the other side, Andrew Hines will pick his lane against the energetic Steve Johnson.
And with Adam Arana. After some of the frustration and disappointment that you've experienced in the last couple of events, how special is this now? Because you're going to get a chance to go up against your pops.
Oh, I didn't know I had to race him. You know, it kind of sucks having to race your teammate, but at least that means we're going to have a Lucas Oil, slash Protect the Harvest bike in the finals, you know. It's awesome. NGK and RTS Toolings and Protect the Harvest Matthew, they're all giving us such a great opportunity to be out here and race, and, you know, I couldn't do it without them.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Great comeback for Adam after that DNQ for sure.